Welcome to part 7 and the final leg of our amazing Canadian adventure. On this leg we leave Halifax and head for our final hotel destination in the historic and beautiful coastal town of Lunenberg. Under Edward Cornwallis, the then governor of Nova Scotia, Lunenberg was part of a British attempt to populate Nova Scotia with foreign Protestants. The town was founded in 1753, and in 1995 UNESCO designated it a World Heritage Site. They believe that it is the best example of planned British colonial settlement in North America, as it retains its original layout and the appearance of the 1800s, including the local wooden architecture. It seemed everywhere you turned there was another amazing photo opportunity with a brightly coloured building against a gorgeous blue sky. Even the washrooms were beautiful. This picture was taken in a little cafe where we stopped for a coffee and a donut. The schooner, known as the Blue Nose, is arguably Canada's most famous ship. Built in 1921, she became famous as a fishing and racing vessel. She served as a working vessel until 1946, when she was wrecked, but she was so loved that a replica was built in 1963. The original Blue Nose was built in Lunenberg, and her replacement, the Blue Nose 2, was sat alongside the harbour for her winter mooring during our visit. She is so loved by Canadians that she has appeared on several stamps and is a constant on the back of the Canadian dime. Hopefully these images are giving you a feel for just how special Lunenberg is. That night we had a whole host of restaurants to choose from, but we went to the old fish factory, right next to the Blue Nose. It was quite funny that the waitress, hearing our English accents, was a bit concerned that Pip may not know how to tackle a lobster dinner.
So, this is the professional eating of a lobster dinner.
The legs off.
So the legs have gone, and you suck those out for half an hour. And then the next thing you do is the claw, yeah, which takes some cracking, like with a nutcracker. Yeah. Thank you very much. That was my beer just arriving. Apologies for that. Would you say that the best meat is in the claws or in the tail?
No, the tail.
The tail. So there's the tail, which will be
But
saved
I'm
till
the person
last.
that saves the best till last.
Yeah.
Some people eat the tail first because it's the best.
So we'll let you crack on with the claws, and we'll come back later for the tail. Tune in soon.
Ready for the best bit.
So welcome back to episode 2 of Pip Eats a Lobster.
Some people like that green stuff. I'm not a big fan. You can eat it.
Isn't it stomach content?
Let's not go into that. And look at that. And they've very kindly bought it already split. So this is like the best bit.
So you don't need to prise the tail out. It just comes out.
Look at that. Heaven. It even looks like a smile. Dip it in the butter. Makes a massive mess.
Is that horrible? How would you describe it then? So you look like you're going to throw up then?
Food of the gods.
Food of the gods. Manna from heaven. Dipped into the butter, straight into the old gob. Okay, we'll leave you there. Tune in next season.
The next morning we discovered that the Blue Nose is not the only famous ship that calls Lunenberg its home. The Picton Castle was built in Selby in Yorkshire, Great Britain, in 1928 and was first used as a trawler. In 1939 she was requisitioned by the Royal Navy and used as a minesweeper in the North Sea. Coincidentally, in May 1945, just as the Germans were leaving Norway, she needed repairs and headed for Bergen. She was the first ship to arrive bearing the Union Jack, and she became known as the Liberator of Norway. Remarkably, she has now completed 7 circumnavigations of the globe. Today she is used as a training ship, helping to create the sailors of the future. Later that day we set off for our next destination, White's Lake, but on the way we stopped at one of the most famous and photographed locations in all of Canada, Peggy's Cove. Before enjoying the picturesque Peggy's Cove, however, we wanted to pay our respect at this monument to all those who died and all those affected by the Swiss Air disaster of Flight 111. On the 2nd of September 1998, Flight 111 aboard a McDonnell Douglas MD-11 left JFK Airport, New York City, heading for Geneva, Switzerland. Sadly, all 215 passengers and 14 crew lost their life when the plane ditched into the sea 5 miles from this spot. The memorial is to those who died, but also to those who helped in the rescue and recovery efforts, including Pip's first husband, who was a diver in the Canadian Navy. On this quiet, calm day, its beautiful coastline, it was really hard to imagine such a tragedy ever took place. The first recorded settlement at Peggy's Cove was in 1766. It is likely that the village is named after St. Margaret's Bay, on which it sits, Peggy being a nickname for Margaret. There is an alternative story of a young female shipwreck survivor who was pulled from the sea at the end of the 18th century. She was too young to remember her name, but was given the name Peggy and became known as Peggy of the Cove. Today, of course, Peggy's Cove is best known for its lighthouse. The first lighthouse at Peggy's Point or Peggy's Cove was built in 1868 and was made of wood. The current structure, which stands almost 15 metres or 49 feet high, was built in 1914. As the many other sightseers would attest, this is one of the most popular tourist attractions in the whole of Nova Scotia and arguably Canada. Unfortunately, the wind on our dreadful microphone stops us from allowing you to listen to this Swiss visitor managing to get a sound from this huge alpine horn. More than 400 million years ago, in the Devonian period, the plate tectonics movement of the Earth's crust allowed molten material to bubble up from the Earth's interior. This formed the rocks that we see today at Peggy's Cove.
Okay, so we're in the cafe at Peggy's Cove, and it's so Canadian. The bread rolls come with lobster butter.
I guess that's for me then.
That's for you, that one.
The lobster butter may have been questionable, but there was no doubt that the gingerbread with lemon sauce and cream was absolutely delicious. Yet another step closer to a heart attack. It was time to leave Peggy's Cove and drive the 20 odd kilometres to the beautiful White Lake.
When I first lived in Halifax, I used to get together with all the other English nannies and we would go to the Split Crow pub. This is where I first met Mike, and we've been friends ever since.
Mike and his lovely wife Sheila have previously visited us in the UK and stayed in our house in Cornwall. They live in this amazing location next to White Lake, so we were delighted when they invited us to spend the last 2 days of our holiday with them, including the Canadian Thanksgiving. Yet another example of the amazing generosity of Canadians. Oh, and by the way, this was the view from our window. If I asked you to name a White Star vessel that came to grief in the Atlantic, almost certainly you'd say Titanic. How many of you would have heard of the SS Atlantic? This vessel was sunk on the 1st of April 1873 in Terence Bay, just a few miles from where Mike and Sheila live. The ship was heading for the United States but was running low on coal and decided to pay a visit to Halifax Harbour. The captain was asleep on deck and had left the approach to the harbour in the hands of his less experienced crew. He had asked to be woken as soon as the harbour was sighted, or at 3 a.m, whichever came sooner. The crew ignored his command. They did not realise that high winds meant that the ship had drifted 12.5 miles off course, and instead of heading for Halifax Harbour, they were heading straight for the rocks at Terence Bay. There were 952 people on board. 562 died that night. Because of the way the quarters had been allocated, all of the women and all of the children except one perished. Many were buried in a special graveyard here at Terence Bay. As always with such tragedies, it was hard to imagine on the day that we walked past a graveyard and looked out to sea that such horrors took place. The courage and compassion of the locals who not only carried out a very dangerous rescue operation, but also gave shelters to those who did make it to shore, are recognised in these stone monuments. There is also an interpretation centre which tells the full story of the wreck, and that's so important. I'd never heard of the SS Atlantic, and I'm sure you're the same. It's really important that such centres exist so that we can remember not only those who lost their lives, but also the locals who were so brave and compassionate in their support. If you ever pay a visit to Peggy's Cove, one of the most photographed locations in the world, make sure you pop along to Terence Bay and remember the SS Atlantic. Sadly, all good things come to an end, and today we were taking our final drive, the 50 kilometres from Mike and Sheila's house to Halifax Stanfield Airport, where we would catch a plane to Toronto and finally to home. Was that go?
Go. So it's Tuesday the 14th of October. We've driven...
Happy birthday, Julie.
Happy birthday, Julie.
My best friend.
We've driven here from staying with the lovely Mike and Sheila at White's Lake in their lovely house. Dropped off the hire car, and we're now sat at Halifax Airport just grabbing a bite of lunch before we fly 2 hours in the wrong direction to Toronto to get our flight later tonight back to the UK. It's been an amazing holiday, and hopefully you're going to enjoy the vlogs when you read them. Read them, see them.
God, what's the matter with you? We're in the Harbour Rocks, and I'm going to have my very last helping of lobster. I'm having lobster bisque. Yum. You're not?
No, I'm having my 15th Turkey Club sandwich.
Hi there, welcome to what I guess you'd call it a postscript, really. Hopefully you've now endured the...
What's a postscript?
The postscript is a bit you get at the end.
Oh, okay.
Where you kind of pull, or an epilogue. It used to be, do you remember
Epilogue.
Cannon? Was it Cannon? That American detective, they used to have an epilogue at the end. So this is an epilogue at the end of the 7 vlogs, which hopefully you have had a chance to look through and enjoy, which captured our fantastic 3-week trip to Canada. We thought we'd just say, just try and pull things together and try and capture the kind of the spirit some time on now. We're about 3 months on from the end of the holiday.
Yeah, but the memories are still up there, isn't they? In your brain, so...
They are. So what talking of memories, what was a highlight for you then?
Well, other than seeing family and friends and getting to know some people that I haven't seen for 40 years, I think the high point was maybe going for a swim on Stanhope Beach in October. That was absolutely amazing. I love that place. I love Prince Edward Island. I've got nice memories of being there with the children when they were little, so it's very special. But also just the weather was just stunning. The sea was nice. It was just a very chilled day, wasn't it? It was lovely.
The temperature was in the 30s, wasn't it? I think it was for October
It was mad.
October the 6th, I think, something like that.
Yeah, it was mad.
Yeah, that I would agree with you. That was a fab day in one way.
We agree.
But the other, I would also put up there Quebec City.
Yes.
That evening with, you know, going from the kind of the daylight and seeing all of those kind of European influenced really sweet buildings, and then the sun setting, and we went to the restaurant, came out, and we had all the lights illuminating the old city. And
the Chateau Frontenac looks absolutely gorgeous, all lit up. So
beautiful place.
Yeah, if anybody's feeling like having a visit to North America, honestly, I would certainly recommend the East Coast. We absolutely loved it. It's my favourite part of Canada. No disrespect to Rachel, and I have to say I did feel incredibly guilty being in the same country as her and not going to see her, but it's such a vast country. It was another 5-hour flight west to go and see her, and just couldn't squeeze it into that trip, but we are going to go again in April. Hopefully we're going to go out for her birthday, which is at the beginning of May, so something to look forward to, another visit.
Indeed. Okay, so like I said, hope you enjoyed the vlogs, and we'll be out with Trevor again sometime soon, so just keep watching this space, and hopefully we'll catch up then.
Once the weather gets a bit better. Pretty gross at the moment though.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Well, how about that holiday in numbers then? Including our flights in and out of the UK, we covered a total of 10,188 miles. 3,006 of those were in Canada, of which we drove 1,770, the rest being by our good friend Julie. We stayed in 11 hotels, 4 different families and friends' houses, and made more memories than we could ever count.